Welcome to the Killer Innovation Show, the longest continuously produced podcast in history. Each week, Phil McKinney brings you the insights and strategies to amplify your creativity and innovation skills. Here's your host, Phil McKinney.
Your creativity is dying, and it's happening one scroll at a time. That brilliant idea you want to create, it's being buried under an avalanche of other people's content. What if I told you the secret to unlocking your creativity isn't about consuming more content or more inspiration? It's about consuming less. I used to wake up every morning and immediately reach for my phone, scrolling through social media, news feeds, and endless inspiring content done by other creators. I'd absorb dozens of ideas before even getting out of bed in the morning. Feeling productive, but I also felt strangely empty. It wasn't until I found myself staring at a blank page, unable to write or create, that I realized I'd lost my own voice in the noise of constant consumption. This pattern haunts many of us. We consume endlessly. We consume those articles, the blog posts, the videos, the podcasts, the social media, believing we're gathering inspiration, when in reality, we're drowning our own creative voice in a sea of other people's ideas. But what if the key to unlocking your creativity isn't about consuming more, but about consuming less? Remember when you were a kid? You could spend hours building imaginary worlds, creating stories, or solving problems in unique ways. There was no need to check how others did it first. That natural creativity didn't disappear. It's just buried under layers of other people's thoughts and other people's ideas. I discovered this myself during an extended power outage way back. I was forced to go offline. I initially felt anxious and disconnected. But as hours passed, my mind began to wander in ways it hadn't for years. I couldn't watch TV, I couldn't watch YouTube, couldn't scroll, couldn't check out emails. Ideas flowed more freely. Solutions emerged from unexpected angles. Without that constant stream of input, my own creativity had space to surface. Now, let's take a moment and reflect. When was the last time you created something without first checking out how others did it? Come on, go out and do that Google search. See if somebody else solved that problem. When did you last sit with your thoughts long enough to hear your own ideas emerge? The challenge isn't just about information overload. It is about our growing discomfort with our own unfiltered thoughts. We've become so accustomed to constant input that silence feels uncomfortable, and our ideas feel inadequate compared to that polished content that we consume. Look, we all compare ourselves. Wow, why don't my videos look more like that? Why doesn't my podcast sound like that? We're constantly doing this comparison, but that feeds this feeling of being inadequate compared to those others that we follow. The path to reclaiming your creativity is deeply personal. I'm going to share with you how to begin with just small steps that build into transformative habits. First off, start your day as a creator. Begin with just 5 minutes of uninterrupted creation before checking any devices. Now, this might feel uncomfortable at first, but you'll be surprised at how quickly these moments become the most energizing part of your day. I use an app called Freedom that locks all of my devices, so I'm not tempted to go check social media, how many comments people have left for me on the YouTube channel, no, it locks me out because I am borderline ADHD and I'm constantly wanting to get stimulated by checking things. But as part of this 5 minutes, keep a notebook. Keep a notebook by your bed for those morning ideas. Our minds are often clearest upon waking, before the day's noise kind of creeps in. Even a few bullet points or rough sketches can capture valuable insights. Make your first hour about output, not input. Instead of immediately consuming email, news, and social media, use that time for your own thoughts and ideas. Within weeks, you'll notice your original thinking becoming stronger and clearer. Trust me. Second step, create safe spaces for your ideas. Notice and protect your natural thinking times, whether it's your morning shower or the commute or even walking. These moments are already part of your daily routine. Now they can become your creative sanctuary. Start with just 10 minutes of disconnected time, no phone, no input, just you and your thoughts. As this becomes comfortable, you'll naturally want to extend those periods. Yes, I find it incredibly hard to be in a car and not be listening to a podcast or playing my Spotify playlists. But now I've gotten this habit of not having anything on and letting my mind just wander. It's hard. You got to learn to be comfortable with your own thoughts. At first, silence it just feels uncomfortable. It doesn't feel productive. I can listen to a podcast or I can do an audiobook. That's continuing to feed me. However, like developing any new skill, your ability to think deeply without constant input will actually strengthen with practice. Input doesn't mean quality of thinking. Input does not mean quality of ideas. We've allowed so much input, it's drowning out our own work. 3, build your creative confidence. Begin with tiny projects that are just for you. No pressure, no audience, you don't have to show it to anybody, no expectations. These private creative experiments help you rediscover what naturally interests and excites you. A la my 3D printer. Notice and celebrate your original ideas, however small. Each authentic thought is evidence of your creativity emerging. Keep a simple list of ideas that surprised or delighted you. And track your journey. Track these little projects in your daily journal, your creativity journal. But it's not to judge or evaluate, but it's to witness your progress. Looking back over a few weeks, you'll see how your natural creativity has begun to flourish with more space to grow. Remember, every creative giant started with small steps. These practices aren't dramatic transformations. They're about creating small spaces where your natural creativity can gradually emerge and strengthen. Each tiny step forward builds momentum towards a more authentic, more fulfilling creative life. And that's what I want for you. Now, it's your turn to create. Not a lot long ago, I spoke with a senior architect, an architect I really respect. As many of you know, I originally went to college to be an architect. In my discussions, he was sharing with me a radical change that he made to his personal design process. Instead of starting each project by researching similar buildings, I got to design a hospital or I'm designing a restaurant or whatever, and looking at the current trends, he begins with 2 hours of pure conceptualization. Just him, a pencil, and a blank piece of paper. He shared with me, he says, look, Phil, the first concepts aren't always perfect, but they're authentically mine. When I look at reference materials later, I do it to refine my vision, not to replace it. And the difference in my originality of my work has been dramatic. Think about that. An architect finding a different way to bring his natural, his authentic creativity rather than just being inspired and imitating others. And the difference in his originality, he noticed it was dramatic. This approach reflects a fundamental truth about creativity. Your most valuable asset is not your ability to absorb others' ideas. It's your unique perspective, your unique ideas, your vision. When you clear away the noise of constant consumption, you create space for your ideas, your vision to emerge and evolve. Now, my own journey of reducing consumption has led to more original thinking and deeper satisfaction in my work. The ideas that emerge may not always be revolutionary, but they're authentically mine. And I discovered that authentic creativity, however simple, resonates more deeply than polished imitation. Your creative voice is waiting to be heard. It might be quiet at first, after years of being drowned out by this constant consumption, this hamster wheel we're stuck on. But with each moment of silence, with each small act of original creation, it grows stronger. Here's a question I have for you. What will you create when you finally give yourself the space to hear it? Before I wrap up, I want to thank each and every one of you for spending this time with me today. If you found value in this approach to creativity and innovation and the content we share here in the channel, I'd love to have you join our community of creators and innovators. By becoming a member either here on YouTube or over on Patreon, you'll get access to our private community of other innovators where we share challenges and victories, and that's over on Discord. Monthly live Q&A sessions where we can dive into specific creative challenges, and early access to my upcoming videos and special content just for members. But more importantly, your support helps ensure we can keep creating content that challenges conventional thinking and sparks your creativity and the innovations you create. I've put all the links in the description below. Choose the option that works best for you, whether it's becoming a member here on YouTube or joining us over on Patreon. Remember, your most original ideas are waiting to emerge when you create the space to hear them. See you in the next episode.
Podcasting nonstop since 2005, this has been the Killer Innovation Show on the Innovators Network.